This is Engage New York, Module 1, Lesson 6. The objective is I can compare decimal fractions to the thousandths using the units and express comparisons with greater than, less than, and equals. All right, for fluency, we're going to find the midpoint. So if I have a number line here starting at 0 and going to 10, what is the midpoint or the halfway point between 0 ones and 10 ones? Would be right here. Be 5. My pen is not working. All right. So if we now look at a number line that's 0 to 1, how many tenths are in 1? 10 tenths are in 1, right? So on here, if I was looking between 0 and 1, what's the halfway point? It would be 5 tenths, right? What's the decimal version of 5 tenths, or the halfway point between 0 and 1? It's equal to 0.5. So now, do you see how we did all of this? We're going to do these with all these numbers down here. In the back of here, we have additional class notes. You guys want to flip to this page, and we can do but the midpoint between 0 and 0.1, and all of these are here. What's the midpoint between 0 and 0.1? We're looking for this number right here. We're going to have to go into the hundredths, right? So if this is 5 tenths, and we're going even smaller here, would this be 5 100ths? And if you want to change this into a decimal, equals 0.05, right? Can you guys do the rest of these for me? Try them out. All right. So, but the midpoint between 10 and 20 is 15. The midpoint between 0.1 and 0.2 is 0.15. The midpoint between 0.7 and 0.8 is 0.75. The midpoint between 9 and 10, 9.5. The midpoint between 0.09 and 0.1, 0.095. The midpoint between 0.0 and 0.01 is 0.005. The midpoint between 1 and 2 is 1.5. The midpoint between 0.01 and 0.02 is 0.015. Do you guys see how we're moving this? So we'll have to move into the thousandth spot in order to get the midpoint between these two. The midpoint between 0.7 and 0.71 would be 0.705. And the midpoint between 0.9 and 1 is 0.95. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute your mic if you'd like. All right, we're going to quickly review renaming the units. Who remembers what how many meters 100 centimeters equals? Remember, it equals 1. So for every 1 meter, it's 100 centimeters. So, all right. So if I have 200 centimeters, how many meters am I going to have? 2. So I'd like everyone to quickly do the other 5 problems. I'll give you a minute and then we'll move on to the next part. So we're going to go over these real fast. 700 centimeters equals 7 meters. 750 centimeters equals 7.5 meters. 450 centimeters equals 4.5 meters. 630 centimeters equals 6.3 meters. And 925 centimeters equals 9.25 meters. Alrighty, hopefully everyone got that. Now we're going to go down here. We're going to be multiplying by decimal fractions. All right, so this is kind of breaking it down here. So if I have 3 times 10, that equals 30, right? So I'm going to place this in the 10 spot. All right. 4 times 1, I'll put that in the 1 spot. 6 times 1/10, put 6 in the 10th spot. 5 times 100th, put 5 in the 100th spot. 2 times 1,000th, put 2 in the 1,000th spot. So this is kind of like reverse what we were doing the other day with breaking everything down and doing expanded form. So this is kind of the expanded form, and then we're placing it into here, and we're seeing that it is now turned into a decimal. We're going to go down here and do a couple more and see if we can do expanded form of these. So if I was going to plug in 75.604, I'll plug it in up here. So the 7 goes in the 10 spot. The 5 goes in the 1 spot. The 6 goes in the 10th spot. There's 0 hundredths. They go in the 100th spot. And then there's 4 thousandths. So if I was to write this in expanded form, I would write 7 times 10 to 7 tenths plus 5 ones plus 6 tenths plus, there's no hundredths, right? So then I skip over to 4 thousandths. All right. Does anyone have any questions on that? Can you try the next 2 for me and let me know if you have any questions? I'll give you guys just a couple minutes. Alrighty. So if we're looking at 20.197, I'm going to go up to my place value chart. So I'm going to put the 2 in the tenths, the 0 in the 1 spot, the 1 in the 10th spot, the 9 in the 100th spot, and the 7 in the 1,000th spot. So it makes it easier for me to write the expanded form out. So I have 2 tenths, 1 tenth, 9 hundredths, and 7 thousandths. Oops, there we go. So if I go down to 40.803, I have 4 in the 10 spot, I skip over the 1 spot. I have 8 in the 10th spot. Skip over the hundredths. And 3 in the thousandth spot. Okay. All right, for the application problem, Mrs. Meyer measured the edge of her dining table to the hundredth of a meter. The edge of the table measured 32.15 meters. Write her measurement in word form, unit form, and expanded form using fractions and decimals. All right, so her table is 32.15 meters, right? If we were going to write this in word form, what would we write? We'd start off with 32, right? So 32, and because of the decimal point, right? 15 hundredths, because we're going to go into the hundredth column, right? All right, and that's all we have to do for word form. Now we're going to move to unit form. So I'm just going to do each unit, right? So I'm going to do 3 tenths, because this is in the tens column. 2 ones, because this is in the ones column. 1/10. So we move to the tenths column. And lastly, we have 5 hundredths. All right. Does that make sense for everyone? Everyone kind of getting the hang of it? We keep doing problems just, so everyone remembers how to do it. Now for expanded form. I think y'all can do this because we just did a bunch of practice problems on it. So everyone try this for me real quick, and we'll move on to concept development after. Okay? All right. We'll do the fraction form of the expanded form right now. So we have 3 times 10, because it's in the 3 is in the tens column, plus 2 times 1, plus 1 times 1/10, plus 5 times 100th. Did everyone get that? Yes. If we simplify this a little bit, we can simplify it to, we can condense all these. So you can do 3 times 10 plus 2 times 1 plus 1/10 plus 5 100ths. It's a little easier. So if we want to do these in decimals, do you know how to make these in decimals form? Can you convert them to decimals for me? So if we want to do 30 plus 2 plus 0.01, or I'm sorry, 0.1 plus 0.05. Do you see how I changed these to decimals? Yeah?